From the moment Itoshi steps into the world of Blue Lock, he doesn't feel like someone meant for this anime at all. He felt like a complete aura farmer that just left other players feeling weak. It definitely felt like Blue Lock purposely nerfed everyone else just to create someone this clean and perfect. You can tell by the way other characters talk about him, the way Ego himself frames him. Sei isn't just a player, he's a standard card that Blue Lock players look up to, including his little brother, who we'll be mentioning about later. And yet, behind the title of the New Generation World 11 label, under Real Madrid Youth Club, under the flawless no-look passes and ice-cold stare, there's a kid who lost basically everything. Being born as Itoshi isn't actually as good as you think. It's a lonely curse that can only look like a dream from the outside. Before we even get to his collapse, his rivalry with Rin, or that haunting return to Japan, we have to understand where this all starts. Sei was a prodigy, the kind that makes you think he was born with the ball at his feet. His understanding of the field was unreal. He wasn't just good at football, he got it. Every pass, every run, every angle was like math to him. While most kids were still figuring out how to shoot, Sei was reading entire defenses like a puzzle and solving them mid-play. He didn't just belong in the game, he was the game. But even at that early stage, Sei was already an outlier in Japanese football. He didn't fit into the all-for-one, one-for-all culture the nation was known for. Blue Lock, and Ego Jinpachi specifically, criticized Japan for producing cooperative players, athletes who would rather pass than stand out. That mindset is made clear in the first chapter, when Asagi passes the ball and loses everything. Sei rejected that mentality from the jump. He was someone who wanted to be the best, not help someone else become it. That ambition, it burned hot, and it burned early. His relationship with Rin was, at first, wholesome, like a storybook of sibling dreams. Rin wasn't even playing football seriously when Sei first invited him into the game. It happened in a flashback shown during the U20R when a young Rin, just an audience member, scored a goal. That single moment shifted everything. Sei recognized talent on the spot and told his little brother, "You can be the second best striker. I'll be the best." And Rin, he smiled and agreed, because back then, it was simple. It was them against the world. But dreams this big always come with sacrifice. And the biggest sacrifice came when Sei left Japan to join Spain's elite youth program. We don't get a full visual of this moment in the manga, but it's alluded to heavily in chapter 105 when Rin reflects on his brother's decision to leave. It wasn't just a move to elevate his career, it was the moment everything changed. Sei left behind his home, his country, and his brother. He traded comfort for competition. And not just any competition, global competition. Players from Brazil, Spain, France, kids just as hungry, just as talented, some even more naturally gifted. Sei's life in Spain is never shown directly in the manga, but the damage it left behind is written all over his return. By the time he steps back into Japan for the U20 match, he's physically sharper but emotionally hollow. His eyes are sunken, his posture rigid. The bags under his eyes, his noticeably slimmer frame, these are not the signs of someone thriving. They're the signs of someone surviving. It's depression disguised as professionalism. A kid who burned out chasing a dream that, in the end, didn't love him back. And then comes the crushing part, the moment where he sees Rin again. When Sei returns and tells Rin he's no longer chasing the striker dream, he says it flatly, like the dream never mattered. He announces that he's aiming to be the world's best midfielder now, and that Rin should become the best striker instead. But Rin doesn't take this well. Of course he doesn't. He confronts Sei, asking why he abandoned their dream, the one they shared for years. Rin even says, "What made you think you could change our dream?" That moment, chapter 106, is where we see just how much Sei's decision broke his younger brother. And in return, Sei breaks him again, with coldness so sharp it feels personal. "You make me vomit," he says. "Don't ever use me as a reason to play football again." That's not just harsh. That's planned. Like he's trying to kill something inside Rin. That wasn't just it. You can roughly imagine Sei's position. He went through all that struggle like getting humbled badly by world-class gods all, and returns back home just to see an immature brother who doesn't even understand how the football world works. Rin straight up called Sei pathetic for giving up on the dreams. If you were on Sei's position, I bet you would do the same. But here's the thing. Sei isn't saying these things because he's mad or that he hates Rin. He's saying them because he hates himself. Because in Rin, he sees everything he lost. The passion, the belief, the innocence. Sei came back home hoping, maybe even praying, that Rin would understand what he went through. But Rin didn't. Rin was still fighting for a dream that Sei had already buried. And when you're someone who already feels like a failure, the last thing you want is to look into the eyes of someone who still believes in you. It hurts. It exposes the parts you thought were dead. Sei had been humbled. Not just once, not just by one player, but by the entire weight of the football world in Spain. While we never get to see the exact moment, the manga strongly hints at the possibility that he was outclassed by genius players. This brings us to one of the biggest revelations in the manga during the Neo-Egoist League arc, the concept of geniuses and talented learners. Geniuses are those born with unmatched instincts, guys like Loki, Shidu, or Rin. Talented learners, meanwhile, rely on understanding, logic, and strategy. Asagi and Sei are classic examples, and this distinction matters so much because it explains why Sei gave up his original dream. He wasn't dumb, he wasn't weak, he was self-aware. He realized that no matter how hard he trained, how much football IQ he had, or how perfectly he played, he couldn't replicate the raw, instinctual chaos of a genius striker. In chapter 212, Ego says it outright: strikers cannot be taught, they are born. Sei heard that message years before the Blue Lock players did. He lived it in Spain. So what does a guy like Sei do with that knowledge? He adapts. He doesn't stop aiming for number one. He just changes the category. If he can't be the best striker, he'll be the best midfielder, the best creator, the man who makes geniuses look like gods. And honestly, he's terrifyingly good at it. His performance in the U20 match, especially his chemistry with Shidu, proves it. Sei becomes the perfect engine for chaos. Every pass is surgical. Every play is deliberate. He doesn't score the goal, he creates the moment. But let's not pretend that transition didn't hurt him. Every time he plays that role, he's reminded of what he could have been, what he wanted to be. Watching Rin in Destroyer mode, watching Isagi evolve into a master of spatial awareness, watching Kaiser's ego dominate the field, Sei isn't just watching them succeed, he's watching them live his dream, and he has to smile through it. And what's worse, Rin still doesn't get it. During the U20 match, Rin plays like he's trying to destroy Sei. Every move is laced with vengeance. Every goal is a scream of, "Look what I've become without you." And Sei, he barely reacts. Not because he doesn't care, but because it hurts too much to show that he does. That's the emotional core of Sei Itoshi. He's the guy who pretends to be above it all while secretly breaking underneath the weight of his own silence. He's not a villain. He's not a washed-up prodigy. He's a kid who dreamed too big, chased it too far, and came home with nothing but scars. And the one person he wanted to reconnect with, he had to push him away just to keep him alive. Even after everything Sei went through, it still doesn't feel like he got a break. Like, at all. You'd think that maybe after finding a new role, becoming the best midfielder, and returning to Japan with all that world-class experience, things would finally look up for him. But no, Sei's story just keeps getting sadder the more you look at it. Let's talk about what happens after he came back from Spain. We already know he was different, colder, angrier, drained, but there's a small detail the manga shows us that hits way harder when you think about it. His eyes, tired, like seriously tired, like he hadn't slept in months. The Sei we see in the flashbacks has this dead, lifeless stare, and his body looks skinnier too, not the strong, confident prodigy we saw before he left. And maybe you can write that off as he matured or he trained harder, but nah, that's not what it is. That's what burnout looks like. That's what isolation does to someone who's been carrying everything by himself for years. That's the face of someone who hasn't had a real conversation, a real connection, in so long that he forgot what it feels like. Because remember, Sei didn't have anyone. He didn't have family support overseas. He didn't have his little brother with him anymore. He didn't have a team he could rely on emotionally. It was all on him. Everything. The expectations, the pressure, the loneliness, it was all bottled up inside. And the only outlet he had was to keep grinding and hope it was worth it. That's not just lonely, that's traumatizing. He had to grow up too fast. He was just a kid. And the world expected him to be a champion. And the world? Yeah, the world humbled him hard. This part is super important, because one of the biggest turning points in Sei's life is the moment he realized he wasn't good enough to be the world's best striker. And this isn't some small, oh, I lost a match kind of thing. No, this was a complete ego death. Like the kind that shatters your entire self-image. The kind that makes you question why you even started playing in the first place. Some fans believe Sei got absolutely demolished by someone like Luna or another top-tier striker during his time in Spain. But in recent manga chapters, we get a name, Bunny Iglesias. And honestly, that makes a lot of sense. Bunny is a straight-up monster. A striker with crazy athleticism, a ridiculous goal sense, and the kind of raw instinct that no amount of training can recreate. When Sei plays against him, it's clear that Bunny is on a different level. Not just in strength or skill, but in that instinctual genius kind of way. The same way Loki, Rin, and even Shidu operate. They just know where the goal is. They feel it. And Sei, he doesn't have that. It must have been brutal. Imagine working your whole life, leaving everything behind, giving up your childhood and family, only to realize that no matter how hard you train, there are people who were born to do what you're trying to earn. That's the thing that really messes with you. Sei's not weak. Sei's not lazy. He's the smartest guy on the field most of the time. But it doesn't matter when the guy across from you is a damn monster who plays like he was coded in God mode. That's the moment Sei realized he wasn't a genius. He was a talented learner. And in a striker's world, that just isn't enough. He probably looked at Bunny and thought, I can't beat that. Not in this position. And so he gave up the striker dream. But that choice didn't come from peace or acceptance. It came from heartbreak, and it gets worse. Because if you've read the manga, you already know how Sei could be related to the sketchy Ray Dark. This dude isn't just a slimy manager, he's straight up manipulating players, exploiting talent, and moving around behind the scenes for his own gain. And if there's anyone who could trap a depressed, emotionally drained 16-year-old kid in a contract he couldn't get out of, it's Ray Dark. Think about it. Sei was young, alone in Spain, mentally broken after being crushed by someone like Bunny. It's not that hard to imagine Ray swooping in and saying all the right things. You don't have to be a striker, just sign with us. We'll make you the best midfielder in the world. That's how people like Ray work. They don't attack your ego. They offer you an escape. Like sure, Sei's a genius on the pitch, he makes plays that don't even look human, but off the field, he's completely shut down. No close friendships, no family bonds, no real joy. Just football, training, and this quiet, invisible weight that never leaves him. That's not what success looks like. That's what survival looks like. That's what happens when a kid grows up thinking that being the best is the only thing that matters, and then realizes too late that it's not enough. And again, where was his family through all of this? Where were the coaches, the mentors, the teammates who actually cared? They weren't there, because in the world of elite football, especially overseas, nobody gives a damn about your mental state unless you're scoring goals. Sei was left to carry it all, and maybe he could have handled it if Rin had been there with him, if the two of them could have fought through it together, but no, Sei had to face it all alone, and by the time he came back to Japan, he was already hollowed out. That's why his relationship with Rin is so messed up. It's not just rivalry, it's guilt, it's regret. Sei sees Rin and remembers everything he had to leave behind. The dream they shared, the love they once had as brothers, and the fact that Rin still has that fire, that hurts. Because Sei doesn't. Not like he used to. And rather than let Rin hold on to a dream that no longer exists, he decides to destroy it. He becomes the villain, not because he wants to be, but because he thinks that's the only way to push Rin forward.